One of the most confusing emotional experiences is this. They wanted you. They chased you. They opened up. They received your love. And then, they pulled away. Not because you did something wrong. Not because love disappeared. But because love activated something they never healed. Love does not only heal, it reveals. People believe love softens everyone. Psychology says love exposes what has been buried. When someone finally receives genuine affection, care, and emotional safety, their nervous system does not always relax. Sometimes, it panics. Because love removes distraction. And when distraction disappears, unresolved wounds surface. The core psychological reason people pull away. People pull away after getting love because love creates emotional closeness. And closeness activates fear in people who learn that intimacy leads to loss, control, pain, abandonment, emotional responsibility. Love feels good. But safety inside love feels unfamiliar. And the brain avoids unfamiliar states. Attachment theory explains this pattern clearly. From an attachment psychology perspective, pulling away after receiving love is common in people with avoidant or disorganized attachment styles. They crave connection. But once connection becomes real, their nervous system detects danger. Not because you are dangerous. But because closeness reminds them of vulnerability. And vulnerability once hurt them. Why love feels like a threat to some people. Love demands presence. Presence requires emotional availability, accountability, consistency. For emotionally unhealed people, these feel overwhelming. Love is not just affection. It is responsibility. And responsibility triggers fear when someone has learned to survive alone. The nervous system conflict. Inside someone who pulls away, two forces collide. One part says, I want this love. Another part says, this is too much. Their nervous system swings into protection mode. Pulling away becomes a way to regulate anxiety. Distance creates relief. Not because love was wrong. But because closeness was dysregulating. Why they often don't explain why they're pulling away. Most people who pull away don't fully understand why they are doing it. The reaction is subconscious, not calculated. They feel overwhelmed, suffocated, confused, numb. So instead of communicating, they retreat. Silence becomes a coping mechanism. Love triggers old emotional memories. Love activates memory. Not logical memory, emotional memory. When someone shows care, the body remembers. When care was taken away. When love came with conditions. When attachment led to pain. The past overlays the present. You are not being responded to. A memory is. Why consistent love feels uncomfortable. Inconsistent love trains the brain to stay alert. Consistent love removes the adrenaline. To a nervous system used to chaos, calm feels empty. Predictability feels boring. Stability feels suspicious. So the brain seeks distance to restore its familiar emotional state. Emotional intimacy requires identity safety. Love changes identity. It asks, can you let someone see you? Can you be depended on? Can you be known? For someone whose identity was built around independence or emotional suppression, love feels like a loss of self. Pulling away becomes a way to preserve identity. Why they often return after pulling away. Distance reduces emotional intensity. Once the nervous system calms, longing returns. They miss your presence, your warmth, the emotional connection. So they come back. Not because the issue is resolved, but because distance regulated their fear temporarily. This creates a painful push-pull cycle. Why you feel confused and self-blaming. When someone pulls away after love, the person left behind often internalizes it. You ask, was I too much? Did I move too fast? Did I overwhelm them? But love does not scare emotionally available people. It only scares people who haven't learned how to stay. Love requires emotional capacity. Love is not just a feeling. It is capacity. Capacity to communicate discomfort, sit with closeness, regulate fear, stay present during vulnerability. When capacity is low, love becomes heavy. Pulling away is not rejection. It is emotional exhaustion. Why pulling away feels like control. To the person pulling away, distance restores control. They regain emotional space, mental clarity, autonomy. Control feels safe. Connection feels unpredictable. So they choose control over closeness. Why explaining rarely fixes this pattern. You cannot explain someone out of a nervous system response. No amount of reassurance can heal. Attachment trauma, fear of intimacy, emotional avoidance. Trying harder often increases pressure. Pressure increases withdrawal. Healing cannot be forced through logic. Why healthy love doesn't need distance to breathe. In emotionally secure relationships, love does not overwhelm. Closeness does not threaten. Space is chosen, not escaped into. Pulling away is not a feature of healthy love. It is a symptom of unresolved fear. What this pattern is really about. People don't pull away because they stopped loving you. They pull away because love required them to face themselves. And not everyone is ready for that. The most important truth for you. Someone pulling away after receiving love is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of their relationship with intimacy. You didn't scare them. Love revealed what they couldn't hold. When detachment becomes your healing, the healthiest response is not chasing. It is clarity. Clarity that love should not feel like abandonment. Connection should not require self-erasure. Emotional availability is not negotiable. Detachment is not punishment. It is self-respect. Love should feel safe, not uncertain. If someone needs distance every time love deepens, they are not ready for emotional partnership. And readiness matters more than chemistry. Psychological truth. People pull away after getting love when love asks them to grow beyond who they are. And growth is terrifying for those who learn to survive, not connect. If this helped you understand what you went through, subscribe for deeper emotional psychology. And share this with someone who keeps blaming themselves for being loving.